Hi there, it's LDake again with Kale Realty, your Illinois licensed broker. And you know, at this time of year especially, I do get a lot of curious people that they want to do what I do. That's cool. Problem is, some of these same folks, they assume that possibly from TV or whatever, that my job's pretty easy when I'm not looking at pretty houses all day and talking to millionaires. I'm sitting at home comfy in my bed, nice cup of something something, got my stories going, maybe have to make a couple calls. Okay? Stick around and I'll tell you a little bit more about what it is that I do and see if it's right for you. Okay, so I'm out of the jammies and I'm ready to head off to work today. Which, by the way, you don't have to dress up like I do. I hear that agents in California and Florida, they go in shorts and flip-flops to showings and stuff. It's okay. I happen to like the way I look, but it's an option. You don't have to wear a suit if you don't want to. So with that said, you're asking about becoming a real estate agent, but what I'm assuming is you actually want to become a successful real estate agent. But with that said, let's change things up a little bit, okay? Better. So, just to let you know, I believe the stats from the National Association of Realtors is in 2020, there were 3 million real estate agents, folks holding active licenses, right? And of that, there is like 1.4 million were actually realtors, which means you belong to the Association of Realtors, including your local and things like that, which is an association. Some people may see it as a union or a guild or something like that. I could see that. We have rules and ethics and code of conduct and stuff like that. Now, the first year, 80% of license holders will fail. And in 5 years, that number jumps to 87%. So if you can tough it out for 5 years, you're at the top 13% of agents out there, even if you only sold one house every year. That doesn't seem like a very high threshold, does it? So one of the things you're going to learn is that numbers can mean things. You'll see some ambiguity and vagueness. So again, think about things for your level of satisfaction and need. Now, to get going, I would recommend, if you need to keep paying bills and stuff when you become a real estate agent, that you squirrel away at least 6 months of income. Now, if you're fortunate that maybe you have a spouse that covers all the bills and you've just been a homemaker, or you have a trust or something like that, well, great. You know, you're one of the fortunate ones that gets to do things without having to worry about bills being paid. The reason why I say this is I believe that when you become an agent, that you go at it full time. That you treat this like any other job where you're clocking in 9 to 5 or whatever hours work for you. Some agents will do many more hours than that. Some will do fewer. But if you need an income, I would recommend that be part-time. I know a lot of agents that when they're starting out, they'll do Uber or something because it's flexible. What I would tell people is to keep in mind that this surprises a lot of folks, that you have to get your own leads. So the reason why I say 6 months is because you got to figure out who you want to talk to and do some business with for your real estate career. You find a buyer, for example, however you generate your leads. It may take them a little while before they find the home that they like. And then when they put in an offer, maybe that first offer doesn't get accepted, so you got to go to another house or something. And by the time they get an offer approved, it's still going to be 45 days to closing if they're going through a mortgage and stuff, okay? Now, true, selling that first house, you will get a nice commission if you don't have a lot of splits going on, which is something you need to discuss with the broker. But when you get that check, it's going to be a nice check, right? But you got to squirrel some of that away to pay for taxes and stuff. So as you can tell, with commissions, it's feast or famine, because you may work for a while without making a dime until you get that closing. And when you get that check, you've got a lot of bills to pay, right? So, and you still got to squirrel some of that away for the next time and for marketing and things. So that's why I recommend at least 6 months. So in the midst of you squirreling away that money is when you're going to be going to brokerages and interviewing them to see how they're going to help you succeed. One of the things that they're going to be helping you with, hopefully, is getting your license, whether you're totally green or you're moving into another state, another market, things like that. You might have to take some tests, right? And then, of course, they're going to tell you how much it's going to cost. Now, I think for me, when I transferred to Kale Realty, which was a few years ago at this point, and I went from starting out as a leasing agent to becoming a real estate broker, I had to take a new set of tests. And then, of course, there was an onboarding with them. I was getting on the MLS and things like that. It was a whole different world. And I think that it ended up costing me about $2,000 altogether. So yeah, so there is some cost, and you should be asking that is, what do I have to do? What all do I need to do? And also, of course, one of the things is you want to see how much hand holding or nurturing they're going to be offering, what tools they provide. If they provide leads, some of them do. Some of them have teams you can join to start making money right away after you get your license. So find out about all this stuff. And of course, do you like the environment? Because one of the things that's awesome about becoming your own boss is if you don't like working in a certain environment, you don't have to. Now, I do believe that agents should jump in with both feet first and actually go full time and have already quit day jobs by the time they become agents. Like I said, do something part-time on the side if you need to get a little bit of extra income going on, but really focus on your career, and that's going to allow you more time to do appointments during the day when it's more convenient with your clients, your new clients. You want to have your best foot forward, right? And also, it's a lot of networking opportunities that you may be missing because you're only available after you clock out. So I really do feel that you'll do better. You will succeed definitely sooner if you jump in right away. It's you're going to want to learn about time management, time blocking, things like that. Everybody's got their own system and way of doing things. The one piece of advice I can give you is that no is a complete sentence. Of course, you know how to respond to someone if they're asking you to do something impossible, if they're asking you to do something that's illegal, especially if it's another agent who's getting pushy with you or something like that. They should know better. So it's okay to say no. Again, you're your own boss, right? So it's okay to say no to things or to pass it along. It's a lot of cooperation, and this is how you get there, is from networking and just asking questions. Now, the other thing too is lean into that no. If someone tells you no, or if something doesn't go right, lean into that. There's an opportunity there to learn why it didn't work right. And finally, the other thing I want to catch in is on a two-parter is one, my definition of success may be different than yours. I'll tell you one thing though is there are certain checkpoints, if you will, on levels of success. The first one, of course, is bills are paid and you're not worrying about things. The first time you get to go to the grocery store and you just buy groceries, or like when you need to get gas for your car, you just get gas. That's really freeing. That's really liberating. That's a level of success. And it's a marker that a lot of people don't really consider. But I'm telling you, if you get to that point where you're just getting things, that's huge. The other thing I want to cover is there's a difference between being nice and being kind. Always be kind. Okay? Being nice is okay, but you got to remember some of the nicest people in the world looked the other way during the world's greatest atrocities. Whereas being kind means that if you see something that's wrong, you're going to speak up. So be kind and make sure that you're doing a good job. You're doing the best of your ability for whoever your client is, that you're serving the public right. And if you see something that's not right, say something. So that's just a few things from my point of view, and I hope it helps you determine if you want to become a real estate agent. The income is limitless. Every day I wake up unemployed, but there's a lot of responsibility to that. And it's a lot of hard work. And hey, if you ever have any questions or anything, feel free to reach out to me. I'm always willing to help out. And remember, I always have time for you and your referrals.